Okay, it is 7:03. The Town of Chester Zoning Board of Appeals is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. Let's do a quick roll call introductions, starting with the far right.
Giuseppe Casara.
Robert Dickover, counsel. Greg Feigelson, chair.
Melissa Foote, zoning secretary.
Dan Dollinger.
Tom Acton.
Just a side note, Walter has recused himself from the Somerville Way application. That's why he's sitting down there.
Yes.
Not that he's lost his welcome status here. Okay, so first up is I see we have representatives for the Somerville application. Excellent. Is the Somerville Way application, which I think this would make the third meeting where that has been a topic because we like it so much. Let's see, let me get my bearings here. So last time we did our due diligence under SECRA, we made arrangements to have out the 239 referral sent out, and I'll get to the findings there. We have a complete EAF and the application is complete. The update on the 239 referrals, they were both sent to the county and village as required. We did hear back from the county, I have it here somewhere, in a letter dated February 24th. And their finding was that it would be a local determination, which puts it back into our board's hands. That letter will be entered into the official record and file for this application. We have not yet received a response from the village, but the good news is the 30-day response window ended, I think it was yesterday or the day before. So we are clear to make decisions. And the other item, I guess I will point out, is that the public hearing that we opened last time is still in fact open. In a moment, we will see if there are any other folks who would like to make comments on this application. But before we do that, I would ask Melissa if, since the last time we met, have we received any correspondence, letters, emails, smoke signals?
We have not, we haven't.
Not. Okay. So then I will just note as a side note that we did receive one record, which we had a letter from one Lori Negron, who's apparently a neighbor. Her letter was dated February 10th. All members of the board received a copy of that and hopefully had time to review that input. And that will also be part of the final record for this application. So now let's just see if there's anybody here to speak regarding this application for the Somerville Way application. We have another public hearing, which is why I'm making that distinction. I don't see anybody present in the room. Michelle, is there anybody online that has identified themselves as?
Here.
No, I have nothing.
You have no, okay, you have nothing? Okay, then unless there is any objection, I will declare the public hearing officially closed. Seeing any objections from the board, public hearing is closed. All right, so we can move on to the issues at hand. So we've discussed this a lot at the last two meetings. This is a referral from the planning board. The first question fundamentally, is a 280A variance required? And it was the opinion of the planning board that one was required, or in the absence of that, an open area development. So the board has to determine the first thing the board has to do is determine whether the planning board was correct and that a 280A variance would be required. And I would like to pause here and see if the board has any discussion regarding that issue in terms of understanding any questions about the implications of requiring a 280A variance or not requiring a 280A variance. Of course, if 280A variance is required, we would then go on to the next step and decide whether to grant such a variance. So, any comments or questions from the board? Any points of clarification required? We are fortunate, as I mentioned last time, to have one of the regional experts in 280A, the ins and outs of 280A in our council here. Nothing. Any thoughts about the necessity of having this 280A variance requiring?
Can you explain it a little bit?
I can do my best with that.
think I need to go through a description of the project, right? But the gist of the project, which raises the question, is that the proposed subdivision has lots numbers let me back up, 1, 2, and 3, accessing State Route 94 by way of essentially a driveway, which would be an easement over the lots. In particular, lot number 1 would have a driveway going across lots 2 and 3. Lot 3 would have a driveway going across lot 2. Lot 2 does in fact front upon 94, and the proposed driveway servicing lots 2 and 3 would enter upon lot number 2. The question that's raised is whether or not the access is allowable by way of easement. 280A has 5 particular subdivisions with respect to it. And I suppose just a quick reference to some of them might be of interest. The first subdivision of 280A, sub 1 says that no permit for the erection of any building shall be issued unless a street or highway giving access to the proposed structure has been duly placed on the official map or the plan if there be no official map or plan, unless the street or highway is an existing state, county, or town highway, or a street shown upon a plat approved by the planning board as provided in section 276, which is the subdivision regulations of the article as an effect at the time the plat was approved, or C, a street or a plat duly filed and recorded in the office of the county clerk prior to the appointment of the planning board. So in connection with that, the street to which access is proposed is again 94. It does in fact appear as a state highway on maps previously filed. And so the street to which access is proposed has this formal status, which means it's a filed map, or shows on a filed map. So that part of 280A is satisfied. The subparagraph of 280A number 2 provides that before the permit shall be issued, the street or highway shall have been suitably improved to the satisfaction of the town board or the planning board, prepared by the town board in accordance with standards and specs approved by the town board. Alternatively, and in the discretion of such board, a performance bond sufficient to cover the full cost of the improvement can be posted. So what does that mean? That means that the access way, or in this case, the easement, would need to be suitably improved. Or if you're entering directly upon Route 94, like lot number 2 does, Route 94 would have to be suitably improved, and it is. There's no question that Route 94 is suitably improved, but it raises the question as to whether or not the access way or the proposed driveway servicing lots 3 and 2 is going to be adequately improved. And we'll get to what standard does it need to be improved in a moment. Sub 3 of 288 provides that the applicant for such a permit, and we're talking about the building permit, not the 288 permit, but the building permit, may appeal from the decision of the administrative officer having charge of the issue of permits to the Board of Appeals, that's us, and that's what they're doing. They're appealing from a decision made by the planning board in this case, that a 288 variance is required. So they can apply to this board to make a variance or an exception in the zoning regulations for an exception if the circumstances of the case do not require the structure to be related to the proposed street. And that's not what we're dealing with here, but we're dealing with subparagraph B, a 288 variance. So that's what brings them before us today. They're asking that if they need a 288 variance, will you please grant us one to allow access to lots 2 and 3 by way of this easement area, a driveway or an access way, as I come to call it. The subparagraph 4 is this weird part. It says that the town board may, by resolution, establish an open area development to solve the problem. An open area development is the town board saying, we're going to declare this area of the subdivision an open area development, and if they were to do that, then access by easement would be permitted. So says that section. The problem, and I'm just going to jump to this, is that the town of Chester has adopted its own bulk regulations for open area developments that might be created in the town. And And this particular parcel does not meet those bulk area requirements. I think it had to be 50 acres in size, and the lots have to be bigger than 3 acres, I believe, each. And because they don't, and because those provisions don't appear in the zoning code, this board doesn't have the ability to vary those requirements. So even though there's this ability to have an open area development, it couldn't be granted here by this board with a variance for that. And the town board won't do it because it doesn't meet their requirements. So that, although that might be an alternative relief, it's not available here. And then lastly, the fifth provision of 280A provides that for the purposes of this section, the word, quote, access shall mean that the plot on which such structure is proposed to be erected directly abuts on such street or highway and has sufficient frontage thereon to allow the ingress and egress of trucks, ambulances, police cars, and other emergency vehicles. Hence our discussion during the presentation of this project between myself and counsel for the applicant about whether or not the access way has to directly abut the street, Route 94. And my position was that it does, and their position was otherwise. And I've given you a memorandum with respect to that, and my position remains unchanged. And because lots 3 and now 1, of course, because they're going to get their access by way of this roundabout driveway, they're not getting access directly to 94. They're getting access by way of this access way or easement. That triggers the need for a 280A variance. And so the planning board made that determination that 280A variance was required or an open area development was required. The applicant took their appeal to this board on that determination. My opinion is that the planning board was correct in their determinations. If the board decides that that's the correct opinion and decision of this board, you would then go on to entertain the applicant's request for the 280A variance to allow access to lots 1 and 2 and 3 by way of this easement area. And if you're going to do that, then they have to demonstrate that it will be suitably improved for the purpose of servicing the emergency vehicles, which would be fire, ambulance, police, and for town highway purposes to get onto the access way, to maintain it so that it retains the ability to service those service vehicles. So if the board were to entertain the 280A variance and determine that it should be granted, I would suggest to you a number of conditions to ride along with that. And maybe now is a good time to tell you what I think they might want to be, or you want to get to that later? All right. So did that help you with respect to the application?
It's very,
Real quick. I'm just guessing, doesn't 1 go by itself and then 2 and 3 would be on the same driveway?
So
You can't get the 1 from the 2 and 3 driveway.
yeah,
can you?
But 1 crosses, the existing house is going to cross the backside of the backside and
That's
the,
existing
and the-
right now, that whole
and the far
driveway
side.
all the way around to house 1. That's there now.
yes.
So the driveway coming in is going to service
2 and 3.
not 1.
Correct.
that's correct.
Yes.
But 1 is now going to cross the other 2 properties as well, because they're going to be 3 separate properties, whereas it's kind of it's one single owner right now, and it has been.
This is going to 94 where it is now. Does that stay? And then they're going to have another one that would still stay?
That's my understanding is that the
Yes,
access for
it's-
lot 1 remains where it currently is.
That's a
What
terrible,
they're gonna do is
yeah.
Cut down a mountain so you can see out like some
Where they're gonna, yeah,
land there. Cut that land out of there, so when you're coming out of the driveway, you can see the traffic coming towards Forest.
was creating one.
my kid was gonna buy that house. That drive is crazy, man. Come out of there, I go right turn every time.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay. If not, then let me go ahead and I'll make a motion that it's this board's interpretation that the planning board was correct and that a 280A variance is required for this application. So I've made that motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Dan seconds it. Let's see, let's do a roll call vote. Giuseppe?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Walt is out on this one. And Dan?
Yes.
Okay, so 280A variance is required. Now, what's that? Oh, did I vote? I did on paper, me as well. I see, I'm too fast. I'm good. Thank you. More like a referee than the council. Perfect. What's that? Oh, yes, we did. Yes, we did. Okay, so now we can get on to the discussion of the matter of granting or not granting the 280A variance for this application. And as our council was kind of foreshadow, he laid out some very, very good conditions, some that we had discussed actually at previous meetings, but I thought it was a really nice consolidation. I boiled them down even further. So if we are considering granting this variance, we can put conditions on it. Some of the conditions I think there were 5 here that were proposed. I'd like to review those for further discussion if necessary. The first condition, and again, I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, no further subdivision of the property would be allowed to avoid overloading of the easement and traffic entering and exiting Route 94. Only the proposed 2 one-family dwellings would be allowed on the 2 new properties, obviously. Any future alternative proposal for development of the property would render the 280A variance null and void.
And what?
Null and void. So if there was a change to the plan. The easement would be suitably improved to the satisfaction of the planning board prior to building permit issuance. And the planning board shall require the preparation and recording of an acceptable common driveway and maintenance agreement for the access way to be recorded on any subdivision map prior to final approval. Anything to add to that, or any details that should be highlighted? Okay. Does the applicant have any issues with those conditions? I know you've seen these conditions, so they're not,
Yeah, we know.
I don't see any.
We got these.
No issues. Thank you. Any questions or concerns from the board about those conditions? Quiet board tonight. Then we can move right on to the considering of the 5 factors, if you're obligated to do before considering, while considering an area variance. So the first one is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. I'm going to start on my left. Tom,
No.
want to elaborate or?
Oh, I allow it.
Oh, okay. No, I'm saying, do you want to elaborate? Any other thoughts?
No.
Okay. Dan?
You,
That's
you said it's thorough, you know?
Okay. Fair enough. Dan?
No, I don't believe there'll be any change from the construction of 2 houses.
Okay. It's me. Yes, right. I would agree. No, the proposed plan is consistent with and similar to the nearby properties. The 3-lot, 3 single-family dwelling proposal is low density compared to the highest density potential for an SR6 property. So this is favorable in general, I would say. Julie?
No.
And Giuseppe?
No.
No. Okay. Second of the 5 factors, whether the applicant can achieve his or her goals via a reasonable alternative that does not involve the necessity of an area variance. Tom?
No.
Yeah, I'm going to also say no. I believe their applicant's limited by the state DOT's granting of driveway permits and the terrain of
Yep.
the lots.
Yep, I would agree with that, no. And I would say that since the open area development principle be an option is not actually an option for the reasons that were described earlier. Julie?
No.
And Giuseppe?
No.
No as well.
I got, now this proposed road or driveway, it's not, the town's not going to maintain it. It's just going to be a driveway, correct?
Yeah, this is your driveway.
Yes, okay, okay,
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, it's not a public road.
okay.
Third question, whether the variance is substantial.
No.
No, I don't believe it's substantial. Same reason as number 1. It's going to involve the addition of 2 single-family homes in an area that's currently zoned for higher density than that.
Right, it's consistent with the surrounding
be
areas. I
20
would say
homes,
no
yeah.
as well.
No.
Julie says no,
No.
and Sophie says no as well. Number 4, whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No,
Tom says no. Dan?
No, once again, for the same reasons as
Yeah,
1 and 3.
Sounds a little, yeah, completely agree. I would say no as well.
No.
And Giuseppe?
No.
Okay, and finally, number 5, whether there has been any self-created difficulty. Tom?
yeah, well, the planning, yeah, you know, to get this to go through, you know?
I think the answer to that is also yes. I mean, that, the applicant knew when they purchased these 3 oddly sized lots, or should have known that they were not necessarily buildable as they were, and that they would require both the planning board and zoning board, or at least planning board approval to move further.
Yeah, I agree as well. 288 was in place when the property was purchased, and the applicant knew they were going to be subdividing. Julie?
Yes.
Giuseppe?
Yes.
Self-created. All right, that concludes the review of the 5 factors. So at this point, is the board comfortable making a final determination, voting on whether or not to grant this variance? Sounds like
Yes.
there haven't been any major issues identified. In that case, I
Nobody's here.
In that case, I will make a motion. I will make a motion to grant the variance for this application, the variance to 280A, with the conditions that were described earlier. And oh, you want me to? Oh, I see. We could do it. Yeah. How would I do that? So that's the, yeah, that would push it off to the next minute. Right. Okay. Okay, so let me amend that. The motion would also include your authorization for me to sign off on the decision after it's drafted. That would prevent us from having to vote on that on the next meeting after it's drafted. Does that make sense? Make it a little confusing, a little convoluted. Okay, in that case, can I get a second? If Julie seconds, let's see, we'll just go down the line. Tom?
Yes,
Dan?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Giuseppe?
Yes.
And I say yes as well. Get myself started. Okay, variance is granted. We will get the decision drafted and get to you as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next up,
It's gonna be 5 minutes. I'd like to go watch Duke.
Tom. Nice to see you. All right. Next up is, well, chickens. All right, let's see.
You see this?
Tom. Okay, so let's see. So quick review. I think everybody remembers this one because it's so unusual. We determined the application was complete. We still need to do our secret determination. I don't believe we did that last time. There's no requirement on this property for a 239 referral. Yes, and so we're poised here to have a public hearing regarding the keeping of, what did you say, 6 hens in a 10 by 12 coop on a 1.96 acre lot in an AR3 zone. And the code, well, what you've done is identified what appears to be a gap in the code. We won't make that your problem, hopefully. So let's start with the secret determination. This, I think, is fairly straightforward. I'll make a motion establishing that for the purposes of secret, this board is the lead agency and has determined in an uncoordinated review that the variance requested is a type 2 action because it involves an area variance for a single-family dwelling. I pause, listening for a second. I hear Julie quietly second it. Dan?
Yes.
I guess, Walt, you could be in play for this, and you're out, Giuseppe, for this one. Walt?
I wasn't prepared for that. What was that question?
I said you're in on this one.
Open the public hearing.
Oh, public hearing, yes.
No, not public
No.
hearing.
Oh.
Secret.
Oh,
Type 2
secret.
action.
Sorry.
Sorry, no, it's okay. Julie, secret, type 2 action.
Okay.
The question is it a type 2 action? You're just agreeing to the fact that I've established that
Oh, okay, yes, yes,
it's something about chickens just doesn't,
It's a
sets
freaking
people
joke
on
that
their,
it's something.
sets
He
people
doesn't
back.
have
I know, it's
legal
crazy.
signs allowed.
Did I get everybody myself? Yes.
That's why the only reason why it's coming, because we don't have to see it.
No, yes, okay, excellent. Okay, so we're done with secret. We've fulfilled our obligation there. Okay, so I think we can move right on to the public hearing, given the simplicity of this application. So Melissa, could you confirm that the mailings were carried out in accordance with the requirements?
Yes.
Excellent. And can you confirm publication by the affidavit that
Yes.
announcing the public hearing in the Times Herald record?
Yes.
Okay, then let me make another motion to open the public hearing. Oh, you'll make the motion. All right. Motion to open the pub- And someone seconded it. Walt has seconded it. Okay, so that,
All the way down the other side.
all right, so Dan,
Yes.
Walt.
Yeah.
Julie,
Yeah.
Tom.
Yes,
I say yes. Okay, so the public hearing is officially opened, given the fact that only the applicant is in the room here at the moment. There's nobody on site prepared to make comments on this application. Michelle? Not a soul. Not even a chicken, I assume.
I will make a motion to close the public hearing.
What's that?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
You're one step ahead of me. Walt has made a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll
Let the-
second it.
Let the record reflect that Walt has gotten ahead of me, that nobody spoke for or against the application. Walt made a motion to close the public hearing, and who seconded?
I did.
Tom seconded it. And let's vote that one. Dan,
Yes.
Walt,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
and I say yes as well. All right, the public hearing is duly opened and closed in record time. Okay, let's see, I guess we got to review the 5 factors.
5 factors.
Any questions or anything before we go down this? No?
Well, I said it last time and I'll say it again. I'm still not completely sure that we need to do this, but we've gotten this far and.
Yeah,
I guess
I
we're-
kind of alluded to
we're
that earlier, where I
moving forward.
think
Yeah.
there's definitely a
coop.
gap in the code here, right? Because in an AR, I think, yeah, if you look, in the SR1, which is suburban residential, 1 acre, you're permitted to have 10 fowl. Why in an SR3, AR.3, would you not be allowed to have any animals whatsoever?
And I think that,
So I think there's clearly some.
yeah, I think that discrepancy was created when, when this AR3 was originally increased to 3 acre lots.
From 1, yeah.
From 1, and the accessory uses remained the same
Right.
as it moved into minimum 3 acre lots as it was when it was minimum 1 acre lots. And as I mentioned during the last meeting, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of pre-existing non-conforming homes less than 3 acres on single family homes on less than 3 acres in the AR3 zone. So
Right. So I think, yes,
you know.
that was my comment earlier. I don't want to burden the
I
applicants.
think-
The easiest
yeah,
way is to just
yeah,
give them the
I know, we're
variance.
already at this point. So
And
you
we'll
know.
deal with this on the back end, so to speak.
But I also don't necessarily, I just want to make sure we're not setting a precedent where we're going to, once we do this once, we're going to
Yeah.
need to continue to do this every time somebody wants to put a shed or a garage or, any of these other accessory uses on a
Yeah, no, I think.
pre-existing
Yeah, this
non-conforming
is
lot.
a
So,
stopgap. I would
Yeah.
see this as a stopgap. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Okay, so let's review the 5 factors. Did you have something? No. Let's review the 5 factors. The first is. First factor we must consider is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. And we'll start with you again, Tom.
No, you know, if somebody wants to put it there, I'm sure there's houses with sheds or something, he's gonna have, the coop is gonna look like a shed.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I don't believe there's any sort of undesirable change for the residential or agricultural residential zone of Restdale Road.
Yeah, I don't see it either. It's all hens, right? No roosters.
Yeah.
You're not gonna swap the 6 hens for 6 roosters all of a sudden.
I don't want them, I heard that nasty.
Did you, Julie?
I'm gonna say yes.
Oh, you think so?
It does not look like a shed. It's a screened-in building. It's gonna have animals in it.
Oh, so just to be clear,
you got this?
I mean,
So you,
I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay.
okay, so,
It's not a shed. Come, you can see the other side of it. You can see through it.
right, but I guess the question is, just to be clear,
It's more of an invisible shed. You can see through it.
so just to be clear though, the question is, will that create an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties? You're saying yes, you believe it will? I just want to make sure. I'm not challenging your
Nobody's
opinion.
here, but I think that, I'm sorry.
Julie,
It's not,
I'm with you.
I,
say
it's
yes
not
also.
dog,
It is
it's
fine.
not a
Yeah.
your average animal you have around the house. I'm sorry.
I'm with you.
Yes.
How far back is it from the, do you know offhand how far back it is
Can
from
you
the
see from the
You
road?
see where,
I see
you
the-
see the
little
the
X?
line coming from the front left corner of the house, diagonal, where that meets the, yeah, right about there, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's where it's from.
It's drawn here, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
My
this,
neighbor's house is way back up behind, up the hill,
yeah, it's up here.
right there.
Okay. But you're gonna see this from the road.
No,
Why
I don't
didn't you?
think, I
mention-
don't think you would even see it from the road, because the road is downhill, and there's a bunch of trees in the way.
Oh,
So it's, okay. Okay, so where were we? We're at Julie, whether an undesirable change. I'm sorry. Oh, no, that's right. We're with Walt this round.
Julie said yes, and I'm gonna say yes.
And you said yes, okay, I'm sorry, just doing this kind of in random order. Okay. Second question, whether the applicant can achieve his goals via a reasonable alternative which does not involve the necessity of an area variance. Tom,
No,
Dan,
No,
I'd say no. Julie,
no, Jim.
Walt says no as well. Okay. Whether the variance is substantial,
no,
no,
no. 6 chickens.
No. That's what she-
It helps.
Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
no,
no,
No.
They know, but I can go back to mine.
Okay. And whether there has been any self-created difficulty.
well, he made it, yeah. You know, but it's probably, the way he said it's probably the way it looks over there, you know, it's probably the best place it could be.
yes,
I'm gonna say no. I feel like the issue is really with the zoning, not the code is not specific to this district. It doesn't really specify what you can and can't do with regard to animals.
I'm gonna say yes. You're here.
Oh, sorry.
I said the same thing.
Yes. Yes, okay. Okay. Board feel any conditions would be necessary with this application?
Greg, are we doing this for just 6 hens? Just 6? I mean,
6 ladies.
you know,
Okay, yes.
You know how many,
Yeah, so I
you
would have
know how many
to-
places in the town.
I'm not a
must have
lawyer, so I
chickens
do-
that- so if you know where-
Whatever. All right, yeah, so I think so I'm sorry, was there a question?
I was just saying, in The number is 6 that go into the,
Well, so I think, so that's right. So with regard to conditions, we can put a conditional, like, for example, the number of hens. And we can also put in, I know you don't want roosters, but we could specify that no roosters allowed as part of a condition.
so no roosters in the hen house.
Got it. Any other possible conditions that people could think of? I can't think of. All right. Are we ready? Further comments? I feel this one is probably, we could do the same as we did for the last one. All right. All right, I'm going to make a motion to grant the requested variance to permit the keeping of, you want 6? This is your,
Yes, sir.
all right, 6 chickens on a 1.96 acre lot in an AR3 district with the condition that no roosters are permitted. And I guess the condition is also that 6 is the maximum number. And that the board authorizes me to approve the draft decision that's drafted by council. That's the most eloquent way of saying that, but I get the point.
Yes.
I need a second.
What is the question?
That I made a motion to
Granting the
grant the
variance.
variance
Okay, I say
to have
yes.
6 hens, no roosters.
I say yes.
I need a second to the motion.
Oh,
I'll second it.
Tom seconds the motion. Walt says yes. Tom?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
I say yes. Julie says yes. The variance is granted. Well, it's granted once I sign off on the final decision. Thank you so much. Sorry for making light of chicken.
Good luck.
Good luck.
we don't have a problem down the road.
Yeah, exactly. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I.
Okay, make a motion to close. the-
Yeah.
It's weird for a couple of reasons, but
Fucking chicken coop, the zoning board of appeals. Think about it. Think about it. You know how many people must have chicken?
I'll move to adjourn.
I second. Yes?
Yes.
Make a motion to close the meeting.
Oh, I think
Dan
Dan
already
already did.
Oh, you did, I second.
All right. Vote. Vote, yes.
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 Yes. Vote the meeting. Meeting is adjourned.